What is up, DTube Steam blockchain? So today I want to talk a little bit about the topic of crypto stake incentives. So I love this topic. The crypto stake incentives. We see these new models of stake, or the way blockchains are designed, where they seem to be going towards more mainstream friendly systems, trying to see, okay, first we had Steam blockchain, BitShares, EOS. People are trying to always make it easier for the end user, and it seems right now that the best way to do that is to make it so you have some kind of real-time blockchain which looks at the activity of users and then tries to share out value from that. So Voice seems to be trying to do that on EOS. We have DTube with their new blockchain and DTube coins, which tries to look at activity from users daily and have a system where the end user, that the user can just easily enter into a system and use it, and they can share stuff, and it's all good. So I want to talk a little bit about the crypto stake incentives. So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. For example, if I have $300 and I look at projects right now, there is no particular project which feels like it gives you a big incentive to stake in that, because most stuff is pretty, I don't know, it's pretty mediocre. It's a team basically has to figure out ways to make their what they're doing interesting. And I've had that feeling happen with some projects that I've been looking at. Some stuff you instantly feel, oh my god, this is kind of cool. But even with those projects that you see is kind of cool, you still kind of wonder, what is the incentive to keep holding value in that system? So you basically need amazing developers and amazing teams that understand game theory and that can combine that with understanding content creators, understanding governance, and understanding how value should flow. And the technology hasn't really been here to make this in very advanced ways, but now we're going to move more forward into more real-time feedback systems where everything's just going to go quicker. And a lot of that is thanks towards around 5 years of experiments. So one unit of a token in a virtual world, it goes so much further because it can be split up. It can be microtransactions. This is something that, for example, one unit in the real world is way more limited. It is limited to, for example, the local people usually used to have a local currency. Usually you don't split it up so much in microtransactions because you don't have the technology to do that. You have to many times use it physically or use a bank app. It's not really convenient for a modern age. So a unit of digital value goes so much further than a fiat unit of value, which makes it so you look at your fiat and you see, well, it's like, okay, we have $300 here. Okay, we can put it into the system, but is it really any need for it? Because it's going to be, in some ways, it's going to be like a black hole that, well, you have a blockchain that creates value daily. Why not just earn some microtransactions daily, and maybe you don't need $300. Maybe you just need $10. I don't know, but clearly the cost of stuff is going down. But then we also have artificial scarcity. People are trying to create with some stuff going up because of manipulation and all of this. But it clearly is going towards a new system of efficient currency, or efficient token systems, or efficient faster value systems. So that really creates this interesting place where the incentives to stake in something I mean, it dramatically changes, because you really have to look at, because a unit of value goes so much further, especially if it's liquid, to lock something up, you really have to look at, well, it needs to be massive incentives to, for example, lock something up, and maybe even the idea of lock something up is not really ideal. So we're gonna see these new systems are gonna see, well, maybe it's not that good to lock something up for 13 weeks. Maybe we should make it all use more liquid and more real time. And if all use works more real time and it's liquid, maybe there's in the long run no incentives to stake or whatever. But I think there is something towards stake and lock value up, but I also see the other way, where maybe there is no point with that. But I think it has to be looked at way more. It has looked at way more what the ideal system can be. For example, one thing that's very interesting when people can create value from nothing is you basically have free workforce in many ways. Because you can give someone something right now, and if they value it, they probably gonna work for it. And then you have sort of a workforce in many ways, okay? So we can see how all these systems needs to be updated, and we can see how a lot of teams are gonna compete in many ways for trying to make people come to their platform. And then we're gonna see, for example, one team say, okay, you get 10% X here if you put your value here, and then another one is gonna say, oh, you get 15% if you put it right here. But then people are eventually gonna see that you really need some global ecosystem of apps, of users, and something that is quality. You will see that a lot of projects cannot bring something exciting in the long run. So some ways I try to see, is stake obsolete, or will stake play a role in the future? It's all just very, very interesting stuff to look at. It's not easy stuff to look at, because you don't really know how people are gonna look at value, but clearly it's gonna change. It's gonna change a lot. So if I take, for example, the Steam blockchain, I don't really see an incentive to hold more than just a little. Because here's the thing, liquid value is worth so much more in many ways, because you can see other opportunities, you can see other teams innovate, and many people will be in demand to basically have value flow around much faster to places that they find very interesting, where stuff is happening, where basically there is a lot of activity. And in many ways, isn't activity the main value? For example, if something is being used a lot, it's going to have more users. In many ways, it's going to have more demand. But if something just have stake but almost no users, how is that going to work out? I mean, in the long run. So it's something that's extremely interesting to look at. So we can see that we have some form of effect of, I think, near zero marginal cost, where everything is basically going to be free or near zero in cost, which is of course something that dramatically is going to change how people look at things, how people look at value, and where they want to put things, and to build a system that people basically rely on, or where they want to store their value. I mean, this is going to be in constant flux, in constant updates, and it's going to be a competition basically. And then people are eventually, they are gonna gradually move to what seems to be the best. So the stake incentive topic I find very, very fascinating, because I look at it in 5 years. What would be the incentive to hold something? Okay, let's say, I mean, let's take even then stake. Okay, a person may say, okay, but you're gonna get X tokens if you stake. But what if that token, if it's just boring? Let's say, because if someone's value goes up a lot, maybe it's not that interesting to have that little bit of extra that they may get. Maybe for them it's more exciting to find some other project that basically innovates faster, or do something even daily. Because people are going to look at projects, oh wait a sec, this team is doing something new, interesting daily. They sort of have a vision every week where they want to take things. So in many ways, people's standards, I think, is going to go up, and people are going to be more critical, I think. So stake incentives. Or activity incentives. I mean, in many ways it comes down to, what do people want? Give it to them. People usually overcomplicate things, but it comes down to, what do people want? Give it to them. Do many people really want a token? Or do they want to be involved in a system or a brand which feels sort of cool, which seems to be going somewhere? I think people more want to be a part of a brand, or a place that has a lot of activity and engagement. This is something that I saw with the Swelly Android app. People are just using it because it's fun. And fun is something that I think people underestimate. That people think that people value a token more than fun. But if you make a system that's extremely fun, that's going to have a lot of activity, has got a lot of users, like the value is just going to be a small little side thing. But the crypto stake incentive is something that I think is going to be looked at so much in the upcoming future, because you are going to have a lot of value that flows in and out of systems. Because people are going to look at, well, do I really want to have this value sit here? Is there really any reason for it to sit here, or should it be somewhere else? So, for example, what is the incentives to hold, let's say, more than 10K or something at a specific project? Is there really any incentives for that? And it becomes quite complex, because you need to basically figure out ways to basically reward people on all kinds of levels. The small stakers, the big stakers, and at the very high levels it gets quite nuanced in how you would do that. And then it comes down to, maybe AI should just do most things, and that the so-called value system that it totally shifts from basically earning from more just, I mean it already is, measure systems with numbers, measuring activity, reputation, and just making that process fun. And if it's just a fun process, if you just make it more fun, and if you just focus on user growth and creating a very interesting service, if it improves every day, if it has a free workforce, it seems as that's going to work itself out pretty well. but then it's not going to be that much focus on tokens, but it's going to be focused on measuring various things and see if that can help bring an interesting ecosystem, because you sort of in many ways need humans. You want an exciting system with humans, and a lot of systems doesn't have too much focus on humans, but I think we're getting closer to make the ultimate system, and it's going to be very exciting to see how that's going to play out. Yeah, have an awesome day, DTube. Have an awesome day, Steam blockchain. Bye bye.